Hey guys, welcome to the new BMW X4 M Competition. This is going to be a very special review because you may have noticed there's something going on in the background here. That is the Nurburgring Nordschleife. It's a world famous circuit about 20 kilometers long, and it's where all the manufacturers, or a lot of the manufacturers, do their testing, including BMW M. In fact, BMW M has their workshop or their main test facility set up right in the heart of the Nurburgring town. You'll have to excuse the condition of the car. It's got a lot of bugs and things on it because we had to drive this up from Munich, and on the Autobahn, as you can imagine, with unrestricted speed limit zones, we hit some high speeds and it just collects a lot of bugs. Firstly, for the design, this jumps to the Klar platform compared with the first generation X4. Ioniq 5N prototype going screaming past. And it's got the new look design. So you'll see these vertical sort of sections there, and the larger front grills. This being the X4 M Competition version, a lot of the details are in black. So the grills, those side sections, little gills in the side mirrors, and all the window surrounds. In Australia, you can only get the X4 M Competition. You can't get the X4 M, whereas in Germany you can actually buy the X4 M. It's not quite as spruced up. It doesn't have the black details, and it's got a bit less power. And around at the back, you've got a nice little carbon fiber lip spoiler, bespoke to the competition version, and then the trademark quad outlet exhausts. I'm just trying to block that sun because it's quite low. I hope it's not flaring up the camera lens too much. So for this test, this sounds pretty serious actually. New Elantra N. For this test, I'm going to do some driving around on the road because I'll just get out of that sun actually. There's some nice winding roads that are all around the Nurburgring, which is kind of, you think, well, what's the point of that when you can go on the actual track? The track is open to the public on some days of the week from about 5:30 until 7:30 at night, keeping in mind that it's still very light. Here, even up until 9 o'clock at night, particularly in the winter, the summer months. So it's May right now. It got dark last night at about 10 o'clock, I think, or 9:30. It was starting to, the sun was starting to disappear. So you got plenty of light even at 7:30. BMW tests all their vehicles on this circuit. It's a very challenging circuit. Some say that it's the most challenging in the world, not just because it's 20 kilometers long, but some of the turns, there's off camber, blind sections, bumps and jumps even, and then there's the carousel, which really puts a lot of pressure on the bearings and the suspension because you're hitting huge G-forces as you swing around like you're on a carousel, and it puts a lot of pressure on the car. Basically, if a car can handle this circuit, it should be able to handle everyday duties in the hands of a general user. Before I get stuck in though, I just want to show you a bit about the track. So we got some mountain bikes yesterday and did some riding around because there's basically a dirt road, a sort of dirt road that goes all the way around the track. Swaps over on various sides. There's little tunnels and things that go underneath. But yeah, you can basically have a viewpoint from all different parts of the circuit. Hey guys, we're just at a little town called Adenau. I think that's how you pronounce it. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's basically one of the townships that is nestled alongside the Nurburgring. And we've just come out in the morning here, it's 9 AM. It looks like there's some manufacturer testing going on. There's a few prototypes and things. It's Wednesday today, and it was the Nurburgring 24 hours just on the weekend, so that's why there's a bit of rubbish and so on around. But yeah, basically you can come out here and stand by the track and watch what's going on for as long as you like. It's awesome. We did some laps last night. The track opens at 5:30 until 7:30 at night. We did some laps in the X4, went really well. Being from Australia, I don't have very much experience around the track, but still had a lot of fun. I think it did something like 8 minutes 15 around Bridge to Gaintree. I'll try and do a better lap tomorrow. The track doesn't open today to the public, But I'll try to do a better lap tomorrow and see what it can do. But yeah, awesome place. It's pretty much as you'd dream. The hotel we're staying at is just over in the background over there behind those blue flags. Not sure if you can see those. But yeah, it's basically like an apartment. It's perfect, yeah. It wasn't that much at all, considering where we are. It's we had some dinner last night. There's a little pizzeria just down next to the track. Had a few beers. The track doesn't open tonight, so we're just going to be walking around the track. In fact, we're going to get some mountain bikes, because most of the track has a dirt sort of road that goes all the way around the track. So you can get mountain bikes, hire some mountain bikes, and pretty much ride around the whole thing. So we're up at the back, big long hill section of the track. We've got some bikes. I managed to do a bit of a mono and flip off the back and hurt my knee, but forget about that. But yeah, some crazy cars going past here. Just saw a GT3 RS. We'll keep going up these tracks. Yeah. That was the new Lotus, I think. Lotus, yeah. Yeah, so this track basically goes all the way around the track. This dirt track, I mean, goes all the way around the circuit, but it crosses over at various points, and it sort of goes away from the track at some points. But you know, you could say 80% of the circuit has sort of like a dirt road like this around it, right next to it. It's pretty cool. There's all really old stuff around as well, because you got to remember, this track's been around since the 1920s. I think it was first sort of started to be built. So you got like evidence of that in various spots. Really nice scenery around here too, like beautiful trees. And you've got this world famous racetrack going through the middle of it. So we're just making our way up to the carousel, which is just at the top here, we think. We're looking on GPS maps, but it should be just up here. We can hear cars sliding around the last little hairpin before going up to the uphill bit to the carousel. The camera probably doesn't pick it up, but it's actually really steep down there. And even, you know, straight up to the track's quite steep. So we finally made it to the top, thanks to our trusty electric bikes. And this is the carousel. Alright, so let's get in the car now and we'll drive around a little bit. I'll show you some of the roads and we'll test out this beast. Hang on, this sounds pretty serious again. Under the bonnet is a 3-litre twin-turbo straight-six engine straight from the BMW M3 and M4 competition. 375 kilowatts, 650 newton meters. It's a beast of an engine. I'll just start it up for you. Got a beautiful purr on the idle there, doesn't it? There are various drive modes you can select from, as you can probably imagine. Just close this down in case the sun's right in your face. It's also got an M mode here where you can change the display so it looks a bit different. And then you've got M1 and M2 buttons. So basically these you can preset. I'll show you, just go into the menu here. Car, M menu, configure M1 and M2. So I've got M1 set up with Sport Plus pretty much everything, and the DSC in MDM mode, which is kind of allows some slip, but it will still catch you if you go a bit beyond the limits. And the exhaust, bimodal exhaust, is open. If you switch the DSC off, it gives you access to the four-wheel drive sport mode, which is more biased rear-wheel drive. It allows a bit of throwing around, a bit of oversteering and all that sort of thing. And then basically you just hit it once, confirm, hit it twice, and then you're straight into that mode. So you don't have to worry about digging around in those settings. You can just preset these two buttons to the two modes that you want. And it doesn't have to be sporty either. You can have M2 set up to be very fuel efficient, comfortable, so you can just switch between the two very, very easily. Being such a huge circuit, you've got to know the area, I suppose, to figure out where all the best vantage points are. As you saw during the bike ride, you could spend all day. In fact, we did pretty much yesterday, just looking around at all the different spots that you can have a look. One of the first things you'll notice when you drive the car is just how much torque this engine has. It's only a 3-litre, but it feels like it, and it behaves like it's a V8. It's got so much torque. It's got the torque of a V8. 650 newton meters is quite a lot, and you don't have to change down the gears all the time and absolutely rev the back end out of it. You can actually just lean on the gears, lean on the throttle in higher gears, and it just keeps pushing you along. So we're just coming into a town called, I'm going to try and get this right, Quiddleback. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm definitely wrong, I'm guessing. But this is one of the little towns that are just peppered around all around the circuit. And a lot of these towns have major engineering firms set up or based, so they're just straight at the track to test their equipment. But yeah, very cool little quaint village style of town. I don't quite understand the speed limit system here, because on the dash it's saying it's 100, but surely it's not. I didn't see any other sign. But it allows you to have a bit of fun even on the road. And in fact, when you're driving around, you'll notice that people like to have a bit of fun on these winding sections. In comfort mode, it's definitely rigid. This is not a luxury focused vehicle. This is a very sporty or high performance SUV. So you can't expect absolute plush ride. But I think it's bearable. It's more than bearable. Sorry. I could drive this every day without much complaint, and you do kind of get used to it as well. It's only when you're jumping in and out of different cars all the time that you really notice it. The chassis does feel and it is very, very rigid as well. So it's all tightly put together, so you have no flex and no no tolerance, so that way you've got instant response. You don't have to wait for any part to catch up. That's exactly what you want for a performance vehicle. As you can see there, sign of the Nurburgring. So we'll go up this way. This takes us to the main sort of Formula One circuit and the big Nurburgring building. This is a nice little winding road as well. So I'll put it into the M1 mode that's preset. That automatically makes it, puts you into manual gear shifts as well, so you've got to change gear yourself. It's got awesome front end grip, this thing. It's it doesn't feel like an SUV really. It's definitely high off the ground, but it doesn't feel heavy and cumbersome. It's very agile and darty. It'll tuck into the corners immediately. There's the Nurburgring Castle, or the Nurburg Castle, sorry, just up there on the hill. Yeah, awesome low end response, like look at that. I'm in third gear, slow right down to 60 or 50. Just give it half throttle. And just really picks up and pushes you in the back. You might not be able to sort of experience that on camera, but it's really pushing me along. You can see the speedo moving as well. And when you back off, it's going to this really dumping exhaust sound as the turbos release the excess pressure. I'm just going to get out here for a second. This is the main straight, although there are names for all the different parts of the circuit, but I'm not going to pretend to know the track. I'm from Australia. I've only been here 4 times before. Anyway, we've got some crazy cars going around at the moment. There goes that GT3 RS. You used to be able to go flat out all the way down the main straight, but actually about the halfway point, a bit beyond the halfway point, is where you've got to pull in and get your new ticket, and then you can go back out again. But for prototype testing, they get to use the whole straight. Up here is the main entrance to the regular track days, or tourist. There's a German word for it, tourist something. And this is where you'll see later on today, this car park will be pretty busy with a lot of enthusiasts, some crazy cars too. That's where you buy your tickets from. So basically you purchase a card, and you just put a number of laps on it, as many laps as you like. You go down to the boom gate, swipe your card, and then away you go. Very simple setup. You can just make the most of the 2-hour window. That's during the weekdays anyway. On the weekends, it's open for a bit longer. We're just coming into the town of Nurburgring now, which is where BMW M, at least their test facility, is based. Lots of different workshops around, suspension and tyres and things. There's a lot more on the other side of that main straight as well. The bigger factories like Goodyear, I think Hyundai's got their workshop over there as well. And there we are, the home of this car's engineering. Very cool. Out the back is where all the prototypes come out, and you can sit there and capture them. We saw the M5, the next generation M5 pull out there the other day. And I think, I'm not sure, as I said, I've not from around here, so I don't know for sure, but this is where the prototypes, the access point to the circuit, straight up in there. And some sort of Lamborghini prototype doing some testing. Lamborghini Urus. Here we're coming into the main circuit, or the Formula 1 circuit. Huge stadium and so on. This is where a lot of the racing happens, whereas the Nordschleife or the North Loop is more for testing, and then they do a lot of races there as well, like the 24-hour, obviously. So here comes a new 5 Series by the looks of it, M5. Yep, the quad outlet exhaust at the back. Viewpoint of the circuit. I'll have a quick look. Some of the previous BMW M cars didn't really have a park button, but they introduced that not that long ago. It just makes it a lot more just clear. You know you're in park when you've pushed the P button. You can lift the handbrake as well. Just while we're pulled over, actually, I'll give you a quick look at the interior. So awesome M seats in the front, good support, good comfort. You can also adjust the under thigh, as you can with most BMWs. Very conventional in a lot of the ways, except you've got the carbon fibre trimming, badging to help remind you that this is not a normal model. And then in the back, despite being a sort of coupe style of SUV, headroom isn't too bad. Remembering this is a mid-size SUV, it's not a large SUV. So you've got like 3 Series style of approach to space and equipment, but yeah, the headroom, if you're tall, you're going to touch that the ceiling there, but I'm not even close. So, and I'm about 170 centimeters or something. You could get away with even 180 or 190 centimeters without too much trouble. Legroom is pretty good as well. I mean, I've got my seat slightly forward compared with the average driver, perhaps, but that passenger seat is more in a more average position, and you've got plenty of legroom there for this class of vehicle. This has also got full climate control, as well as seat heating for the outer chairs, and then USB-C ports down below. BMW's famous massive side door pockets there, easily fit a huge bottle and other bits and pieces in the side. And then around at the back, the boot is a bit smaller than the X3, so this has got 525 litres compared with 550 in the X3 M. And that's even more exaggerated when you fold down the seats. So this has got 1430 litres, whereas the X3 has 1600. It's still very practical though. Like, you can use this to do your daily shopping, weekly shopping, sorry, very easily. It does have these removable boards compared with a roller shutter, which they can be a little bit more less practical, I suppose, because if you've got something bulky, you need to take these off and then you know, store them or slide them down the side or something, whereas the retractable blind, you can just let it go, and if something pokes up a bit, that's fine, you know. But it's still, yeah, totally, you could use this as an everyday car easily. Alright, so we'll go and have a look at this section of the circuit. You can see it just goes straight down there, and then we'll actually go on the circuit, and I'll do a bit more talking and give you a bit of a demonstration of the handling, and then do a flat out lap. A bit of walking involved when you want to check out the different spots of the track, but they have these little viewing windows that allows you to get very close to the action indeed. You can't get much closer than that to the action. That's insane. All right, we'll go for a drive around the track, and I'll give you a bit of an idea of how it all works, and we'll test the X4 as well as do a bit of a hot lap around the circuit, attack mode basically. Okay, so we're just lining up now. It's meant to start at 5:30. It's 5:37. There's a bit of a queue going. I've read that going on a Saturday, or I don't know if it's open on a Sunday, but going on the weekend it can be very, very busy. So it's Thursday today, and it still seems to be pretty busy. And then I also drove on Tuesday, which was, yeah, it was pretty quiet. So we'll see how we go. But like on Tuesday, or hopefully, there's a mad rush at the beginning, and then it sort of settles down in the second hour. But the problem with that is if someone crashes and there's an oil spill, I've been here before and they've just shut the circuit down for the rest of the day. So I think that's why everyone likes to get out with the mad rush, in case someone does, unfortunately, do some damage and have a bit of a spill on the track, that they don't miss out. But yeah, basically you just buy one of these cards from the ticket center down there, and then you can put as many laps as you like on it, and then you drive through to the boom gate, flash it on the boom gate, and then away you go. So there seems to be a lot of cars on the track today, so I might just do a bit of talking, a bit of a driving impressions of the car, and then we'll see if we can get a clean lap in a bit later on. Awesome pickup from this engine. It just goes really good off the mark, like it's collecting most of these guys with no problems. Yeah, massive torque. That's what I was saying before, like you don't realise how much torque this thing has on first impressions anyway, and then you start driving, you're like, wow, this is picking up from any gear. So most of these corners you don't need to go any lower than third gear. Even this one's pretty tight, but I'll leave it in third, flatten it. It's going just fine. Third again, full throttle. I guess one of the disadvantages of an SUV is obviously the ground clearance. So that's a higher center of gravity, and there's no real way to get around that. And that means air is flowing under the car. You don't really want that for sort of track driving. Again, I'm just leaving in fourth for those corners, and it picks up with no problem at all. Plenty of top end power. Almost catch a bit of air there. Past these guys. I guess the problem with being on a track day as well is you don't know what sort of experience the person in front of you has, so you've just got to be very careful. There are heaps of rules on the circuit. Well, I don't mean heaps, but you know, when you're driving on a track, there's always guidelines and rules that you've got to follow, and one of the big ones is don't overtake on the left. And you've got to indicate too, to let people know that they can go past you on the left. Sorry, so you indicate on the right. Plenty of traction coming out of the corner there. Good brakes as well. Like we drove a couple of laps the other day. They held up really well. Bit of creaking and so on when you're cooling them down. That's pretty normal. But yeah, for an SUV, it's just nuts. The fact that you could take this on the dirt, granted it's not going to be as good as a Hilux or something like that, but then you can go to on a weekend and go to the track and do this. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. You keep up with the E36 M3 in front. It's insane. I think I can actually get past this guy. This thing's got awesome top end power. Just lean on the throttle. Again, for this uphill section, just lean on it. And yeah, I've got more torque than this guy in front. Now this corner is very tight coming in, but then once you get it set up, you can pretty much lean on the power soon after the apex. Uphill torque, so you might not be able to see it on camera, but it's a bit of a rise here, and if you don't have much torque, it's a bit more of a challenge for the car to push you up those top end speeds. Great steering. It is. You can feel that it's connected to an SUV. And I don't mean that in a really negative way. You can feel that there's the center of gravity is high. Got a Porsche 911 behind me. Famous carousel. So there's this huge G-forces going around here. So even this 911, we're keeping up, going up the hill. Just because of the sheer power of this engine. So BMW do the B58 engine, which is what you'll find in the Toyota Supra and any M40i BMW, whereas this has got an S58 engine, so it's made by BMW M. The biggest difference, apart from pretty much all the components, is twin turbochargers instead of single turbocharger. See, just then I probably could have left it in fourth, sorry, rather than change down. This is the famous viewing spot. Wind it right out in that corner. Leaving it in third. Four-wheel drive system tugging away there. One of the jumps on the circuit, so I like to brake just before the jump and then straight after the jump. There's another dipper over here as well. You won't see it on camera, no, there's a few cars anyway, but this is actually quite steep and the steering gets very unweighted coming over there. This guy doesn't know the rules very well, or he's not checking. Carousel. I like this corner because you can throw it right in and jump on the power. It sort of spins the wheels a little bit as you're coming out. X4 M. Let's see. Keeping up pretty good. I'll just back off here. And that's a lap of the Nurburgring in the BMW X4 M Competition. Just keep in mind, I'm probably the only SUV at the circuit at the moment. It gives you some idea of just the engineering and performance that goes into the BMW M brand and heritage. So now I'll just cool down the car a little bit, and then I'll try and do a quicker lap, but see how we go. There's quite a few cars here at the moment, so I might not get a full clean lap in. So there we have it, guys, the BMW X4 M Competition on the Nurburgring. What an insane machine, considering this is an SUV. I've been flat out around there, done about 8 laps I think, and it's holding up perfectly. Like even the tyres, they're a bit scuffed on the edges, but these Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres, they're just outstanding on any car that I've driven with those. But even with the weight of this, you'd think, you know, the tyres will be peeling off, but no, not at all. It's kept handling pretty much consistently from the first lap until my final lap. I think a few other guys on the track were a bit surprised to see an SUV overtaking, or at least keeping up with a lot of the high-end stuff that's out there, particularly the, you know, fully modified track things, track cars that are out there. And it's, yeah, production straight out of the showroom. You can take it camping, go to the track, do both things, best of both worlds. Obviously it's not as tied down as the M3. If you really wanted to focus on the track stuff and not so much the camping and getting outdoors, then I'd probably go for the M3 Touring, the new wagon. That looks absolutely epic, and it should handle pretty much the same as the sedan. Whereas this, the lifted ground clearance, you can feel the air coming under the car, and it just raises it up a little bit, especially on a track like this with lots of dips and bumps, very high speed turns. You can just feel it just slightly unweighting in the steering. Other than that though, what a machine. Thanks for watching.